It's Monday, November 4th, 2024. I am Actual Pearl, and it's time to get in the weeds. Welcome to your monthly Monday takeover. Jeremy Lambert and I are here. Who are we? You know who we are, but what do? We're a morning show. So in advance, we're a morning show. If you've ever listened to morning radio in your car, you know exactly what you're getting into. But instead, there will be some wrestling talk. Some, not all, some. But Jeremy's here. And I'm here. Who's manning the ship? Good morning, Jeremy Lambert. How you doing?
Hi, guys!
Hi, Joel.
Hi, Jeremy.
How are you?
I am awake. I am alive. It is a start. How are you? Are you feeling lovely? Are you feeling excited? Are you ready for a monthly Monday takeover here on youtube.com/Fightful? This is the main channel. We did it. We made it.
I've been awake since 10 a.m. yesterday, so I'm great. I've been up all night covering New Japan Power Struggle. It was a great show. It was a fantastic show. Everyone should check it out. Not a second too long at 5 hours. But I'm good.
I'm here. Aren't there other people in other time zones that can do this work with you? Is it January? Is it the first week of January already?
Oh man, that's gonna be that one's gonna be a fun. It's always a fun week. Wrestle Kingdom week's always fun. Fun being a word that I just used. Nowadays, like it's a good show. Wrestle Kingdom's usually good. I don't know what they're doing with this main event this year, though. I assume you've not watched the Power Struggle, but
I've been keeping track. If there's one thing that I can always appreciate when it comes to someone like SP3 is that whenever he's covering a New Japan event, his live tweets are like right in my feed, right when I wake up, so I can catch up relatively quick and then watch whatever I need to watch.
Very, very fair. Yeah, SP3 is always great at basically telling you what happened and kind of recapping. And I don't know if he posts highlights, but you can easily go to New Japan World Twitter and check highlights. So Power Struggle closed with Zack Sabre Jr. retaining the IWGP World Heavyweight title. And then he called out Shota Umino. And I think Shota Umino is a good guy. Maybe, potentially. But boy, this crowd did not care to cheer for Shota Umino or Umino. I think it's Umino. It's definitely Umino. I apologize for getting that right.
Shota Umino.
Yeah. So the crowd just booed poor Shota out the building. And the announcers, Charlton and oh my gosh, my brain's gonna die in the middle of this show. I want to say Scott Walker, but I don't. That's a former NHL player.
I don't know who does the English announcing anymore.
Come on, Joel. You're supposed to save me here.
I know. Normally I'm really good at that, but I'm not there. Walker and Chris. Is it Chris?
It's Chris Charlton.
Yeah, it's Chris Charlton.
Walker Stewart. Yes.
Okay, yeah, Walker Stewart. There we go.
I knew it was Walker. Okay.
Texas Ranger.
Yes. So they're like, oh yeah, the crowd, they're voicing their displeasure here. And they agreed to face at a later date Zack Sabre Jr. and Shota. And then old Ricochet comes out. Pew, pew, pew. Ricochet. He comes out and he attacks Zack Sabre. And Ricochet got big cheers here. And Ricochet wanted to face Zack Sabre at Wrestle Dynasty. That's what they're calling it. It's not Dynasty. It's Dynasty.
I've been trying to tell you people. It's Wrestle Dynasty.
Wrestle D Nasty if you're... No, that's Miss Jackson if you're nasty. Anyway, Wrestle Dynasty is where Ricochet and Zack Sabre Jr. are going to wrestle. Shota and Zack Sabre Jr. as the Wrestle Kingdom main event is a choice. The crowd did not seem to care for this choice. I respect that at some point New Japan had to move away from Tetsuya Naito, who's now a geek in the World Tag League. They had to move away from Sonata, who is now part of Bullet Club War Dogs.
Hell
They had
yeah.
to move away from Shingo, who is probably going to have some type of role. He's still the never open weight champion, whatever that title means at this point. But they had to move away from the old guard, and they had to go with guys like Ren Narita, who nobody likes anymore. They had to go with guys like Shota and Yota Tsuji. And they're going for it. I think it's going to be rough for this first Wrestle Kingdom show. I think it's going to be rough.
They're definitely going to load up Wrestle Dynasty. They've already started, right? They've done the Ricochet Zack Sabre Jr. match. They've announced that, or at least they're planning to do that. And then the other one on the card is Kenny Omega, where him and Gabe Kidd had an altercation. It looks like that might be moving towards a strong open weight title match at Wrestling Dynasty. It's fine. I think a lot of people were looking forward to the potential of doing a tag match where the Bucks take on Kenny and a partner of his choosing. And, we talked about it being Tanahashi because Kenny and Tana had some interactions on socials not too long ago, but who knows? They could do that instead at Wrestle Kingdom, and that's how they bolster up the card. I don't know if Kenny's ready or able to work.
Tana's not working tag team match at Wrestle Kingdom. He's facing Evil.
Right. And that's great. That's amazing. He can pass on the crown finally. But my point more being that Tana didn't really matter as much. You could use someone like Kenny could get a new tag team partner, whoever that could be for that particular match. But instead, we'll see what happens. It looks like we're going towards Omega and Kidd. I don't know what the Bucks are going to do at this point for Wrestle Dynasty. Sure, we'll get to that. But just chill. Yeah, they'll just sit and watch whoever wins World Tag League and be like, we're going to take those tag titles anyway. And that'll be it. And then it'll be the New Japan completionist in us that makes AEW completely obsolete because big no AEW guys right here, right? Totally. Yeah. Kenny, big old loser, not going back to AEW.
It's not curious, but it's obviously what?
It is curious that Kenny is coming back and making his return through the New Japan bubble instead of back to AEW. But the story with Mox kind of necessitates splitting up it's almost like the expulsion of the Elite from All Elite Wrestling. If that's the story that they choose to tell, Kenny just happens to be in Japan, so he's doing his thing. The Bucks go to Japan to escape Moxley and the reign of terror there, and then eventually they regroup and come back. There is a story if they choose to go there. So it's not completely lost. It's just not explained yet.
I don't think it's curious because I just think this is 100% a Kenny Omega call. And they're just they are going to respect his wishes. Like maybe he should just be like, yeah, AEW where I need to make my return. I need to continue this storyline with the Elite. But he said it in his promo, like Japan is home for him. He said New Japan still has the best wrestling. I'm sure people will take that a certain way. But there's still so much love that this man has for Japan and New Japan wrestling. And I think visiting Japan when he's been sidelined, talking to Tanahashi, see how the landscape is changing over there, knowing that I don't want to say like Kenny Omega is on borrowed time right now, but look, he's been injured more often than not during his AEW run. We've unfortunately been robbed of a lot of Kenny Omega time in AEW. And yeah, AEW is a home for him, but he became Kenny Omega in New Japan. That crowd embraced him. That audience embraced him. That promotion embraced him. And so being on kind of more limited time, because I don't know how much longer he has left after this, he doesn't seem to know. He doesn't want to come back unless he's 100% himself. I'm sure he's going to feel 100% himself until he gets in the ring, and then it's going to hurt because it's professional wrestling. I don't know if you know this, Joel. It ain't ballet. Ballet can hurt.
I hate that. I've said this a million times. Stop the ballet one. And here's the thing, like, Braun Strowman recently made a comment where he said it wasn't water polo. And I was like,
water polo's friggin' rough.
And that's the thing. I was like, you tried to get away from the ballet. You thought you were being cute, but like, You can't do water polo. You got to find a totally different avenue. It's not, I don't know, it's not cooking fries at McDonald's. Like you could do that, and people be like, sure, people who work at McDonald's might be like, oh, that shit's hot. It hurts. But yeah, just
Ice
the
cream
ballet
machine's down
references.
unless you're John Cena and you pay $100 to get it fixed at 2 a.m.
There you go. Like it's just the way it is.
Yeah, water polo is friggin'. Oh man, that's one of my favorite things to watch during Summer Olympics because I'm pretty sure that's the only time it's actually on like television. Those dudes try to drown each other, it feels like, on every single play.
Yeah, man.
It
I
rules.
respect the hell out of a lot of these athletes. It's the whole.
You know what it should? You know what they should say, Joel? You know what they should honestly say? People get very mad at this. It's professional wrestling. It ain't podcasting. We ain't getting hurt. I mean, sometimes I do some dumb stuff. Sometimes some people who podcast do some dumb stuff. But at the end of the day, we're just sitting here talking about pro wrestling. Or if you have a podcast, you're talking about whatever your interest is out there. You ain't hurting yourself. That's what they should start saying.
The anonymous ITW general manager sent a message to me saying, just be like, it's not napping. And like, you listen, there are nap related injuries, but they're not nearly as severe as what could happen in a real sport or an athletic endeavor like professional wrestling. I'm not saying wrestling's a real sport. I'm calling it an athletic endeavor. Also, podcasting, it hurts. My throat, raw. It sucks.
Stop.
Not like a Monday night. It ain't feeling great. I mean, it's fine now, but it was rough last week.
Stop it. All right, let's circle back to our actual topic here.
Yeah, where do you want to keep going from?
Oh, Kenny. I think this is a 100% a Kenny call, and he wanted to return to New Japan. This is where he wanted to. I think if this is me just spitballing speculation. Nobody report this as fact. Nobody reports anything from the show, even when we are actually on to something. I think if he could, he would have returned at Wrestle Kingdom on January 4th. I think they had to kind of go halvesies on this and be like, well, you want to return into Japan, you want to return to the Dome. How about we do it at Wrestle Dynasty? So at least that's an AEW show. You're still an AEW wrestler, so we do it there. I think if it was 100% a Kenny Omega call, he probably would have done Wrestle Kingdom instead. But they had to still be like, oh no, he's an AEW guy. It's an AEW show. But I do think it is 100% his call that he wanted to return in Japan. He wanted to return at the Tokyo Dome. He wanted to return against Gabe Kidd. Kenny Omega. It's friggin' Kenny. Sorry to Don Callis. By God, Omega. It's one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time. It's one of the top draws in Japan. Certainly as Gaijin draw. Certainly. In Japan. He can call. He's closer to the end than the beginning right now, especially with all his health stuff. He can call his return match. Wherever he wanted to return, whatever he wanted to do, they're like, yeah, 100%. Let's do it here. He wanted New Japan. He wanted Gabe Kidd. This is his call. I respect him.
So going back to what we were talking about with the main event for the Dome, or at least the IWGP World Championship match. If it's going to be Shota Umino versus Zack Sabre Jr. for the championship, there is one person that can elevate that particular match, and that's the person that Shota was connected to during Shota's his what's the word, when they go on excursion, his excursion run.
Yeah, when he's kind of a young lion state.
Yeah, and that was Moxley. Going back to the whole, if AEW is at odds with New Japan or at odds with the Elite because of the Moxley storyline, you could tie it a little bit together, and that's the Mox portal into New Japan is through this main event. You could tell a good story through that. I don't know if they will, but it's something that kind of just, I thought about, put on the table. But the Kenny stuff, yeah, he's calling his shot because he has the clout, he has the ability, he is part of a team that can make that decision, and people aren't going to push back on him. But if the pushback was, don't do it in the Dome on January 4th, do it the next night. Do it on January 5th. Do it on the co-branded show. So at least it doesn't look like you're completely turning your back on your company. I get it.
Moxley, I don't think Moxley is going to be part of Wrestle Kingdom. Wrestle Dynasty, maybe. Wrestle Dynasty feels like maybe you do Shota and Moxley there. I don't know if they're going to strap up Shota. That's the thing. Zack Sabre Jr. winning the Wrestle Kingdom main event. They made this point on commentary. A Gaijin's never won the Wrestle Kingdom main event. Plenty of headlined. Kenny and Jay White, like they've headlined, but nobody's won the Wrestle Kingdom main event. It might be too early to go with Shota. The crowd's probably going to reject Shota. And then if you have Moxley come out afterwards to set up the following night, the crowd still loves Moxley. They don't care about this AEW takeover stuff. The Japanese crowd's just going to cheer for Jon Moxley. So that's a risky game of, hey, let's have this crowning moment for Shota, and then he's going to get overshadowed by Moxley. And then Moxley's got to lose that match. If Moxley's the AEW champion still come January, which may or may not be possible, may not, we don't know with Moxley. He's facing Orange Cassidy at Full Gear. I suspect he wins that. World's End, we'll see. But he could be the champion come January 4th, January 5th. He's not going to... Him dropping a fall there doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But you also can't beat Shota, your new champion, in that match either.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's going to be Moxley coming in to be in a match as much as it could be to set something up down the line. And
if he's there, he's wrestling.
Well, no, if he's there, I think he's wrestling the next night and he's just making an appearance before. But I don't know what match that could be, because it could be in a tag match, could be in a trios match. I don't know. So again, I agree with most of what you're saying. Henry's asking World's End and Wrestle Dynasty, they are a week apart, because World's End is at the end. It's on the 28th of December. And then like 5 days later, it's Wrestling Dynasty. So for all we know, Mox is going to spend New Year's Eve in Japan and then gonna have a nice week hanging out amongst the stars of New Japan Pro Wrestling, getting ready for this show. But again, we don't know what it is. We don't know what it's going to look like.
Yeah, but wait, what do you mean that Mox is going to spend New Year's Eve in Japan? That he's not going to be at World's End?
No. I'm saying because World's End is before New Year's Eve. I'm saying they'll do World's End, and then he's probably going to fly out to Japan for those shows in Japan.
I imagine he's going to be on Wrestle Dynasty. Seems like they're going to load up that show. But they can make it Ricochet, this crazy dude. He shows up at the end of that Power Struggle. He's got a match, a Wednesday on Dynamite. He's in Japan right now. He's got to wrestle Wednesday on Dynamite, so he's flying back. He just wrestled. He wrestled. Still,
it's tag match. He can lay out the whole time. Let his guy have all the flaw. He just has to come in, hit a couple moves, go home. He can let everyone else do it.
So the flight and going to be a concern there. I think Mox is going to wrestle at Wrestle Dynasty. Who he's going to wrestle, Shota would make some sense, but you're either Mox has got to drop the AEW title because he ain't dropping. Neither guy is going to drop a fall there. That's the tough part about that match. Either Shota is going to be the new IWGP champion going into that match, or he's going to just have lost to Zack Sabre Jr., and then he's got to lose to Moxley, or Moxley will have just lost the AEW title at World's End, so then his next match is going to lose to Shota, or Mox is going to be the AEW champion. It's a tough position of who's going to actually drop that fall. I think Shota can drop two. He can lose to Zach. He can lose to Moxley, and it'll be okay. I don't think Moxley can drop back to back. And obviously, if either guy's the champion, they ain't losing.
So I don't think that Moxley's going to come in and take out Shota. I think that they're still going to be together because they haven't turned Moxley on Shota, right?
And Shota's been calling him out and calling him a little bitch and everything.
Yeah, but so have other people who then join the ranks of the Moxley. Like Henry's saying in the chat, you could do Mox and Shota versus Zack Sabre and like Orange Cassidy or something.
You can't do Zack Sabre. He's wrestling Ricochet.
Whatever. You could do a different tag match where you do Mox and Shota. That's kind of the point that we're making here. But really, the point that I'm trying to make is that you don't necessarily need Mox to go against Shota. It's more that he shows up to bolster the main event for Wrestle Kingdom. However you do it. And I don't know where you get there, but but I do know that if you leave a thumbs up on this video, that goes a long way because it's 20 minutes in and I sure as shoot forgot about it.
We talk way too much wrestling in these first 20 minutes.
I know.
This sucks.
Well, you had to do the dump because you just kind of, watched all this stuff. So we had to get it off our heads so that it's out of our brains. But your brains are on the thumbs up. And of course, subscribing to us here at Fightful, here on our YouTube channel and over on Fightful Overbooked, where Jeremy and I are normally every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday around this time talking about wrestling and not wrestling. I swear to God, we talk more not wrestling than wrestling, or we just take a weird spin on it. It's a lot of fun. But when there's a lot of wrestling, we talk about a lot of wrestling. And of course, you can donate a super chat. Any amount, get your question or statement read on the air. It supports this channel. We are self-funded here at Fightful, so we appreciate when you give us your hard-earned money to give us your hard-earned appreciation. Thank you very much for that. Shall we continue on to the rest of the story?
What else is there from Power Struggle?
There really isn't that much. The big things are the AEW connection, and Sonata joining War Dogs is something. Listen, it completely. The one thing that I'm upset now is that I have something I need to scrub from our channel, and that's this. I can't do just Jews anymore.
No, just
unless
Jews.
it's just Jews. It's Moxley is just gonna not Moxley. MJF's gonna come out and be the new guy. He's gonna make up the 5th Jew in just 5 Jews.
That was a shocking little thing that they did with Sonata. It's fine. I mean, just 5 guys was going nowhere. Sonata was kind of the standout. Taichi's improved a lot. He used to just be god awful to watch, but he's improved a lot, and I've come around a little bit on him. It was fine. It was a nice shocking moment after the David Finlay stuff, and then Finlay and called out Yota Tsuji. Man, I like Yota Tsuji. I think Yota Tsuji is probably the guy out of the new 3 Musketeers. The crowd still ain't into him on that one either. Like it's the crowd has not bought into the new guys yet. And I don't know, they don't have a whole lot of time between now and Wrestle Kingdom to make you buy in to these guys. And I'm not sure if they're going to get there. This feels like a transitional Wrestle Kingdom for them, which isn't necessarily bad. Like, you got to make new guys at some point, and Wrestle Kingdom's your biggest show. This is a stage to do it on. But yeah, this doesn't feel like a Wrestle Kingdom that's like, oh man, this is going to be big time match, big time match, big time match. It just feels like this is going to be a show that's going to kind of set up the future of New Japan. And we're going to look back at this show years from now and be like, this is why these guys are in the position they are now, because of this Wrestle Kingdom show.
Looking forward to this. The next few months are going to be really fun to watch, not only for the New Japan ramp up to Wrestle Kingdom, but also we got the Wrestling Dynasty show. So my hope is people, they often get interested in New Japan around this time of year up until the end of it. So we'll start having a little more conversations around New Japan as we build to the Dome shows. That's going to be a lot of fun. Speaking of Dome shows, I guess we got to talk about Crown Jewel for 5 minutes. That was a show that happened. I told you off the air that I watched that show in about 45 minutes last night. God bless the internet. I got through it. It was fine. A lot of things happened that I told you would happen and that you and I said would happen. Let's start first with those big ass belts. We were right, Jeremy. We said it from the hip. We were like, you know what they're going to do? Those belts ain't going to see the light of day. They're going to sit in a trophy case at the WWE Experience in Riyadh. And guess what Triple H did during the pre-show? They're going to sit in a big old case in the WWE Experience in Riyadh. And then he said, I love it. Then he's like, I'm giving rings. And I'm like, Cody's reign is complete. The Ring of Honor returns. I immediately tweeted out that he's got the belt and the ring. And I'm like, oh, I see the vision. I see this shit right to a T. Cody Rhodes wins the Ring of Honor. So good.
Yeah, they did. We said they should treat it like the Stanley Cup, and that's basically what they're doing. I do hope like they etch their names onto a little side plate on there. You get this massive ring that I'm not sure if Cody can get it off of his finger because he was struggling to get that thing on there, and then he finally popped it past that knuckle, and then it looked like it was not coming off at all.
It's just water weight. It's just water weight. You just gotta, you just gotta lose a little bit of weight. Don't drink for a morning. The look on your face, you were frozen. I thought He's just okay. You're back. You froze in a way that I thought you were about to say something impactful. No, you were just frozen. Hi, you're back. Now he's frozen again. Now he's worried. I get it. All right. Well, we wait for Jeremy to get back.
Okay. All right. We're gonna try this again.
You're back again?
Yeah. I don't know what just happened. I mean, I know what happened, but I don't know where. Well, apparently the freeze frame was very good, so that's at least something.
Someone will get it, I'm sure.
All right. But anyway, hey, he looked like I don't know if he's gonna be able to get that ring off. I guess he got it off, but there it is. Oh yeah, we'll see. We shall see. They can collect rings. They can collect rings now for as long as they decide to keep this up, which who knows how long it's actually going to be. What can you do?
Yeah, no, he'll have the ring, and it'll facilitate how they get to Kevin Owens versus Cody. That's really all this is. The ring is going to be used as something that KO is going to put on to make Cody bloodied, and that's how they're going to get to the matchup. That's all this.
Well, they got to actually do a Kevin Owens Randy Orton match. Like, they didn't give us a match on that because I told you, like, Triple H saw that was like, wait a second, seven matches, 8 matches? No. That's too many wrestling matches on this wrestling show. I respect it. He's like, we got to cut one, and he cut out Kevin and Randy.
So there is something that we have to start really thinking about when we're talking about the match structure and everything. You know what that really was? That was a glorified 12-minute segment. Bad Blood on the rundown. There was a 12-minute segment. It was Triple H doing the Crown Jewel titles. He didn't
want to be on TV though.
He doesn't want to be. Nope, don't put it on TV. Doesn't want to be out there. Doesn't want to be out there in his blue suit with the white tie, with the white shirt and the red tie. Doesn't want any of that. Nope, doesn't want you to know, Mr. USA. He doesn't want you to know this. He was out there. But a 12-minute segment on a pay-per-view that's not, or a PLE that's not a wrestling match, I think we're getting into that world. So now we got to start thinking which one is the segment match and which one is the match. Because we all thought it was going to be Seth and Bronson Reed doing that duty. And then it turned out to be KO and Randy Orton, which honestly made more sense. And it was a lot more fun. There are a few more legs to the story of Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton in terms of how you keep it going to them fighting eventually versus Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed, which has already been a whole lot of fighting. So now we got to get in the ring and actually do it. So their match, which was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. That match was great. The stuff with KO and Randy, you're right. You could play it off in Vancouver. This is the big problem. Your pay-per-view, your PLE is in Vancouver. Kevin Owens is going to get cheered there. So you have to be careful with how you work with that.
Here's my question.
Sure.
What brand is Kevin Owens on?
Whichever one he wants to be.
What brand is Randy Orton on?
Whichever one he wants to be.
Seriously.
They're on the same brand. They're on SmackDown.
Okay. Why is Adam Pearce getting involved in SmackDown business, coming out there, trying to break up this fight? He got what he deserved. Adam Pearce, he can't get his shit under control. He comes out, he can't run Raw worth anything. It's all chaos on Raw. Adam Pearce didn't need to get his nose into this match. Wait, what are you doing? And then he's like, oh, I got RKO'd. Yeah, you got RKO'd. It's 2 SmackDown wrestlers. Stay the hell out of it, you dummy. You deserve to get RKO'd. You're lucky nothing worse happened. Nick Aldis is like, yeah, send out the people who get paid to do this, to break it up. Sit your ass in the back, Adam Pearce, and worry about your champion losing to Cody Rhodes. Worry about all the interference in the Liv Morgan match. Worry about that. Don't worry about 2 SmackDown guys, you dork.
He's middle management. He's trying to. First of all, these are one SmackDown guy and one guy that this is the Triple H analogy again, that he's had years of experience with. And Adam Pearce is now middle management. He's got to help those guys. You got Nick Aldis trying to be friendly Papa H with those guys, and you got middle management Adam Pearce trying to get in, and he's got to wrangle those guys.
Yeah, see, Pearce.
Nick Aldis ain't doing shit, so Adam Pearce.
Yeah, because Nick Aldis is like, sure, let these dudes fight. They want to rip each other apart. Nick Aldis said, what did Nick Aldis say weeks ago? This decision is above my head. That's why Randy had to go to Triple H, who does not want to be on TV. He was so upset that Randy called him out. He's like, I gotta go out here. I gotta deal with this guy. He was so upset and that he didn't want to be on TV, but he had to go out there and deal with Randy Orton. Nick Aldis said it. This is above my head. So what does Adam Pearce do? Adam Pearce tries to stick his nose in here and he tries to be like, oh, Nick Aldis doesn't want to deal with this, but you know what? I'll come out there and I will deal with this. I'll show him that I can get this under control. You can't get your own show under control. Don't come out there with two other people from not your brand are fighting. Stop it, you dork. He's lucky more didn't happen to him.
Well, maybe more will happen to him. Maybe on Raw. Maybe on Raw.
Worry about his own shit.
Maybe on Raw, Adam Pearce is going to say, oh, I gave a call to Nick Aldis and I told him to suspend those guys, and Nick Aldis agreed with me. But then on SmackDown, Nick Aldis is like, LOL, what a dork. We're not doing that.
Yeah, Nick Aldis is like, let them fight. Let them do what they want. Triple H told me to stay out. Triple H doesn't want to be on TV. He told me that this is above my head. This was his decision. So if Kevin and Randy want to beat the hell out of each other, this is what we pay the officials for. This is what we pay the road agents for. Get them out there to break it up. And if they can't do it, then fine. Maybe on the next show, I will restore some order. As long as I talk to Triple H first. He doesn't want to be on TV, but we can have a conversation off of television and I can relay the message to make sure he's not on TV because he's not want to be on TV. That's what Nick Aldis is doing. He's being smart about this. Adam Pearce is like, oh, let me come out here. There's a fight. I'm used to all these guys fighting on my show. And what does it happens when they fight on my show? They continue to fight on my show. You got Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed. They beat the shit out of each other every single episode of Raw. You got Bronson Reed and Braun Strowman. They're brawling all over the arena on Raw. What is he doing coming out there for Kevin Owens and Randy Orton? Sit your ass in the back, Adam Pearce.
Yeah, but what if this becomes a Adam Pearce leads a team and Nick Aldis leads the team?
Fired up over Adam Pearce.
All because Adam Pearce got his ass involved in a SmackDown business. So now it's going to be Adam Pearce getting upset with the SmackDown wrestlers and being like, 5 of my guys, 5 of your guys. Da, 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 da.
He's going to come out here and blame them. Oh, he's going to call Nick Aldis. I can't believe you let that happen to me. Nick Aldis should tell him something worse should happen to you. You're lucky Randy didn't put you. You got an RKO. Big deal. Cry about it. Adam Pearce is like, I am going to cry about it.
He goes to the back and you just see him, tears down his face. I'm a competent general manager. And I like Joe's idea of doing KO and Adam Pearce versus Randy and Nick Aldis. And KO just stuns Adam Pearce and says, I'm going to beat both
Kevin Owens shouldn't care about him. Yeah, get out of here.
Just beats their ass up. Ryan Lambert with a super chat saying famed ITW guest Davey Boy Smith Jr. wins the AJPW title. Won the Triple Crown. By the way, you know what's really funny and really sad at the same time? I saw Ibu's tweet about Davey Boy winning and I was like, oh, Davey Boy's been on our show. Good for him. And that's all. That's how I registered everything that Ryan just said. It's like, oh, good for them. Have they been on our show? Good for them. And Ten Rizzo, by the way, sent a super chat earlier saying, as an Aussie, I want Joel to watch New Japan shows live so he can experience weird times like we do all the time. Will be
Joel
interesting.
Joel doesn't watch American shows live.
I used to until I had a kid. I would stay up and watch. I'd watch the big New Japan shows live. I did a few streams for Wrestle Kingdom in years past when we were trying to bolster our Fightful Scraps account. Sean and I did that along with Rob Wilkins and a few others. And I was on Twitch a bunch. Jeremy and I used to be on Twitch until 5 a.m. back in the day, sending ourselves Kenny Omega gifs for no reason. God, we were sad. Pandemic did some shit. Anyway, what else? What else from this show do we need to talk about? We're going to talk about the Bloodline in 1 sec. Hold on. Right. Going back to the Cody stuff. The finish. They referenced that it was the Bret Hart and Piper finish, and millions of other people have done it too. What do you think of the finish? And did you notice Cody Rhodes, Mr. USA, wearing his green tights, his green and gold tights for this match? The man. Oh God, we got to talk about that in the post match. What was Triple H saying to Cody afterwards during the hug session?
He said, I don't want to be on TV. I can't believe I got to come out here right now and hand you this ring. And this is the last thing I want to be doing right now. That's what he said.
it was supposed to be just you, but the Saudis really wanted me to come out here and be with you. So I'm here with you and I'm proud of you, but I want you to know I'm not supposed to be here. I don't want to be here, but they wanted me to. They were obsessed with me coming out here. So here I am. Congratulations. Don't say anything stupid.
The Saudis really wanted Yokozuna, but I was the best thing we could get right now. The match was really good. I thought that was a good match. Gunther's awesome, and Cody is very good as well. The finish was probably what you needed to do, given you got to protect both guys, right? Like you can't have a super clean loss to either guy. This is as clean as you're gonna get. It wasn't like there was a bunch of interference or anything. It was clean. It was Cody catching Gunther with a good wrestling move. So I could have lived without the respect at the end, but I guess that's Gunther's thing, say respect the mat. Mat is sacred. So he respected that Cody caught him in that. So it was good. Overall, it was a really good match. I thought Gunther should have won. I understand that they probably don't want Cody taking any L's ahead of WrestleMania and ahead of The Rock beating him. So I get it. But I still think Gunther should have won.
Best 2.5 minutes I've ever seen.
Oh, you watched this to finish?
I scrubbed through it. I watched bits and pieces of it. Listen, 30-minute matches, I can only do so much. When on Friday...
Yeah, you wanted to go 18. I was like, are you kidding me? Cody ain't going 18.
Hey, I was hoping. Maybe I was just projecting my hopes and dreams. The finish actually worked really well for me because on SmackDown on the Friday, you had Gunther being like, I'm going to choke you out. I'm going to put you to sleep. I'm going to do that. And that's what he did. And he spent the time trying to put Cody down to sleep. So what does Cody do? He reversed it and he won the match after getting a sleeper put on him. It made perfect sense, at least when you think about the story that they were trying to tell. It was good.
Got to get the hooks in, man.
Got to start like choking him out. None of this carotid artery stuff. Just start wrenching real hard on the neck.
You get the hooks in. They can't roll through. That's the whole point of the rear naked choke is you don't do it until you get the hooks in. Also flatten them out on their stomach. They can't roll through there. Too many people go to the back. But yeah, get the hooks in, brother, and then they can't roll through on you.
Too much baby oil.
I mean,
it keeps you slippery.
Yeah.
It does. All right, should we talk about the bloodline stuff? Told you. Sat here.
We were both kind of right on this.
In a way, yes. But I mean, to me, it was painfully obvious when Sami wasn't part of the match, going to that part of the world. He was going to be there. He just was. And for him to come out, and they played the will he or won't he, and it was, he came out in all black, and he did it exactly when I told you he would, which was Jay was getting beat down, and Jay was about to be the one completely taken out by a chair around the head. And then he comes out, big pop as expected. They tease the turn. He looks over at Jay, and then he looks over at Solo, and then he gives Solo the hug exploder suplex, which was neat. And then they did the beatdown segment, and it all comes around when you had the four men in the ring on the good bloodline with Solo in the middle, and Solo very smartly gets out of it when Reigns goes for the spear and Zayn hits the haluva kick at the same time. It was a good spot. It was filmed well. And then Solo left the ring, didn't get any hit. And Reigns is just like, oh, what the hell happened? This was good stuff. Clearly, we got a story to tell with Sami Zayn's return to the bloodline, Sami Uso. But what do you think of the match? Forget the match. The match, honestly, wasn't great. The match existed. It was a means to. First of all, a lot of people have mentioned, Solo had to pin him twice, and they filmed around the Jimmy Uso issue where he didn't break up the pin in time. Whatever. Go beyond that. Solo gets the pin. He does pin Roman, so that's something that they're going to play up on. But really, everything that happened after that match. So let's talk about that.
So we were both kind of correct here. I said that Bloodline needs to win this, not OG Bloodline. Like, new Bloodline needs to win this because they took the L at Bad Blood. We all suspect they're going to take the L at Survivor Series. You've got to give them a victory somewhere. Solo pinning Roman was a good statement victory for Solo Sikoa, who has done really well in the role over the past month or so. Really since Roman's return. I think Solo's actually done much better in the role. So it was good that, at least for the story beat, that Bloodline actually got the victory here. You were correct in Sami came out after Jay was getting beat up and helped Jay, and then they still did the beat of Sami and Roman not on the same page. Sami's still not on the same page with these guys. Sami's still not family with these guys. And now you got weeks before Survivor Series. You still got some stories to tell. You need Roman doing some apologies here. Because, they played it up. Roman did the yeet on SmackDown, but that wasn't like, all right, he just said yeet. There was no apology or anything. He was just, all right, yeah, sure. We're on the same page. We're equals. Cool. No problem.
Jay even came out on his own for the match. And
that
Roman's
was my favorite.
Roman hated it. Roman's sitting there. Roman's just standing there side-eyeing it, and the whole time just being like, what is this guy doing? What is this garbage? And it was perfect. It was filmed well, and it was shot well. It was blocked well. I like that. And again, the idea here is that Jay really has become his own man, and Roman has to deal with the reality of that.
That was my favorite part of this whole segment from start to finish. Sorry to Sami Zayn and him making the save here. My favorite part. And not because Roman and the facial expressions he makes absolutely rules. Love Roman. And the pre-match Roman Reigns is one of my just favorite characters because he just makes these faces at people. When he was swinging the titles at Sami at Elimination Chamber and everything, blowing kisses and stuff, he just rules at that kind of stuff. But it was my favorite part in like a non-kayfabe thing because let's go back to Bad Blood, right? Cody, big entrance. Oh, it's Cody, hometown Atlanta. Who comes out last? Roman. Roman's like, yeah, I'm having this big entrance as well. We're going to still do this with me having this. But then we go to Saudi. And who comes out first? Roman. So Jay can have his big entrance and overshadow what Roman is doing. I just found it hilarious that at Bad Blood, Roman's like, yeah, I'm still coming out last. Your hometown don't care. Saudi, he's like, yeah, Jay family. Yeah, Jay can come out. Jay can come out last because, you got to do the shots of Roman and making what's this eating kind of stuff. The crowd is into it, by the way. Jay's over. The Yeet Man is over. That's a name Rikishi calls him. Oh, he's super, super over. They got a lot of story to tell with Sami and Roman and the Usos. We got some apologies. We got some explanations of why Sami felt he needed to get back into the business here. Why Sami was talking to Solo, what Solo said, and all of this. There's some good. They're setting up some good stuff. They're setting up some good stuff heading into Survivor Series.
I really feel more than ever that when we were talking about what the Survivor Series match looks like, or what the big beats are, we talked about Yeet, we talked about the hugs that we're going to see, the feeling oozy stuff. We're going to see a lot of that. And I go back to the Paul Heyman conversation: is when do we see Paul? I'm kind of still on the idea that Paul shows up with the Bloodline at Survivor Series, at War Games. And that's the first time we see him, when he comes out to lead the collective to the ring. He's not involved more than just being Paul Heyman, and he is the cheerleader that, helps the Bloodline, the OG Bloodline, win the match. And then Roman's back. He gets his Ulafala. He pins Solo last, and then we move on. He's got the Ulafala. That's it. I think that's it. That Roman's not going to be a winner again, just in general, until he has his wise man back.
Well, he won at Bad Blood.
Yeah, but he won with like Cody. It's different.
Is it though? I mean, he's
not gonna, how about this? He's not gonna truly be a winner with his family until he gets his wise man back.
I don't know if I feel like Heyman's coming back before Survivor Series. It feels like Heyman was always against Sami, right? Like that was the thing. Heyman was like, why are you trusting this guy? Heyman was he's the one who presented the evidence against Sami and the trial and everything.
But hold on. The whole thing was Paul presented that because he knew that Sami, he was more apprehensive about Sami taking the title from Roman, taking the championships from Roman. The titles are gone. Roman doesn't have a championship to defend. Now you can see it as he's there to be a friend, quote unquote, to Roman Reigns.
Right. So this is my point on this, of where I was trying to set this up. Is Heyman the guy who actually kind of gets everyone together? Is Heyman the guy who basically has to explain to Roman, hey, you saw it from this perspective. Let me tell you what happened from my perspective, from everybody else's perspective. In hindsight, now that we're removed from you being a 3-year champion, now that all this is behind us, let me tell you what I saw. And that's when Roman starts making those amends and starts really, apologizing to people, because Heyman comes back. It's you can do it the same way Heyman and Roman first aligned together. Shot of the couch, long shot. Oh shit, Paul Heyman is back talking to Roman Reigns.
I could see it. It's not such an important beat that I'm like, oh, it has to be like this. I just see it as he comes out as like the last mind game at Survivor Series. Like the new bloodline has no idea that he's coming, and then out comes Paul Heyman with the team leading them out, and they're just like, they're not shook, but they're just like, oh shit, like he's back, and we know what that means for someone like Roman Reigns. That's going to encourage him. So that's kind of where I see the beat. But I also understand where you're coming from, where you can do the pullback and Paul's back, and that's a moment, and people will be absolutely like, they're all for it. So it's just, where does Paul Heyman, where's his lane? Where does he come back in?
They got to get on the same page at some point, or maybe they don't. Maybe they continue to tease the tension between them.
Too. Yeah, and we talked about that as a possibility too. They're not an established group. They're just a bunch of guys coming together for a common enemy, and that is the bad bloodline, especially Jacob Fatu, because he's the guy.
Yeah, maybe they're not on the same page going into War Games. Maybe they lose War Games. Maybe they actually lose that match, because the final boss bringing the mana, and that's why they can't win.
Well, tell you this much: if The Rock isn't going out in 2025, there's one guy who is. Bill Goldberg, baby. He announced, was he on the SEC network? He was going to be gone. 2025 is his last match in WWE. And it bears the question, Jeremy Lambert, who is going to retire Bill Goldberg? Who is going to send Bill Goldberg off into retirement? I wished it was Baron Corbin, but unfortunately, Baron Corbin is departing WWE imminently. Wish our best to him. He's always been a very entertaining character. But instead, Goldberg's got to get someone on, and I hopefully lose to that person. Who could it be? Who should it be?
Like, they set up the Gunther match. That's where you have to go with this. I don't think they did that for no reason. I think that was a purposeful segment, and they're going to do that match. Goldberg should lose that match. I'd find it absolutely hilarious if he just won the title and vacated the title, and that's that. I think that would be hilarious.
They did it to Sting, so I thought they could do it with me too. You guys love me, right? I pointed this out. Like, I pointed it out on Twitter when the announcement was made, and I said, like, on this show we talked about it. What does Goldberg love to do more than anything in this world? And I can say this because I'm a Jew. He loves to kvetch. He loves to complain. And what does he complain about? He complains about getting into Goldberg shape. He hates getting into Goldberg shape. He spends all of his media interviews. He's like, oh, I got to do this and that, and I ache every day, and I'm up early, and I'm up late, and I got to pump this much iron and eat this much chicken and rice. Like, everyone's just like, oh, boo-hoo, you're getting into superhero shape. Oh, it's a tough fight.
Paid millions. This sucks.
And he's like, I got to be a superhero for the kids, especially my kid who's now like 18 and could devour an entire horse in a sitting if he wanted to. The point is, Goldberg, when we saw him at Bad Blood was not in Goldberg shape. And I was the first one one of the first people to say that. I was like, he doesn't look like Goldberg. He looks like he looks like Bill Goldberg right now. If he wants to get into Goldberg shape, he's got some work to do. And Goldberg's a perfectionist. He always has been when it comes to his physique. He needs to look that way. And for me, when he said 2025, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. It makes perfect sense because he's going to spend the latter half of, or the beginning of I guess we're almost at the end of this year. He's going to spend the next 3 months at least getting it dialed in. And I could see it by WrestleMania might be too soon. It could be SummerSlam. I don't see it being the Royal Rumble unless he's been really ahead of the curve. But with Goldberg and Gunther, feels like the match. Don't know if it's a world title match, especially with the rumors about John Cena's involvement in his last year of wrestling. And I have my own feelings about John Cena doing a WrestleMania main event, let alone winning another world title. I see the benefits of it for the history stake, but I'm also like, it's John Cena in 2025. Like, you've got a lot going on already. I don't know if it's like, I know you're a big John Cena guy. I get it. For me, it's like, how do we continue to build the crop of talent that we have and that whatever, like that WWE has and the WWE has been building? How do you continue working with that crop of younger talent when you have Goldberg coming in for, again, one match is not so big, but you have John Cena coming in for another year, and hopefully he's going to spend a lot of time with those talent, putting them over. But if he's world champion, he's clearly on the upper echelon of people that he's working with. So you got The Rock coming back. You got CM Punk, of course. You've got a lot of guys who are established. So is it good? Is it bad? Like, that's kind of what I'm getting at in the grand scheme of all this.
How's it bad?
It's great for business. This is a conversation that has been going on since. Remember the big story, the big conversation for a long time was WrestleMania was part-time mania. It was people who were coming back for those one-off paydays, getting big money, and the rest of the talent was just kind of pushed down the card. That was the argument for a while. Business standpoint, it's huge. Get a lot of money out of it. From working with younger talent and building them up, that's my concern. Will there be that opportunity for some of the younger talent who are on the ascent to continue working up?
When it comes to Goldberg, it's one match. You do Gunther, Braun Breaker is a possibility. I think Goldberg would actually want to work with Braun. He's said he's in contact a lot with Braun. He talks to Braun a lot. Obviously, the Steiner connection is there. I assume, and maybe this is me being stupid, I assume Goldberg's going to lose the match. I don't think he's just going to win the match. I know. Look, if he's going to win, then you don't put him in there against Braun Breaker or Gunther because they don't benefit out of that, out of losing to this guy. You throw him in there against you throw him in there against the Miz and you have him beat the Miz if you're gonna have him win a match. But because that's an easy victory, right? Yeah, the Miz, if Goldberg gets his moment and retirement match, cool. Like, Miz can sell any angle. Miz is a great heel, especially in this role. It's basically the Ziggler story all over again. But if he's gonna lose, then yeah, you put him in there against Gunther. You put him in there against Braun Breaker, and you elevate. Not that Gunther really needs elevated. I don't even know if Braun Breaker needs to be elevated at this point, but it's a good victory for them to win. Jason Corbin was like the first name I thought of. Like, yeah, you put him in there against Corbin, he beats Corbin, but
easy. Just do that. I can't do it now. I mean, you could.
You can. Yeah. You can.
I'm sure. Here's the thing. Like, Baron Corbin's not a sour grapes kind of guy. So I don't know if he would be like, hey,
Baron Corbin's just on socials. He's like, anyway, here's how you fillet a steak.
Yeah, I'm sure that if WWE was like, hey, you want a dump truck full of money so Goldberg, put over Goldberg on his way out, he'll be like, what time you need me? let me order some pants. Like, what do you want?
SummerSlam's 2 nights in 2025, right? Pretty sure.
Yes, SummerSlam is 2 nights in 2025 from the East Rutherford, New Jersey.
So it feels like SummerSlam's a good spot for this. Maybe you do Mania if it is Braun Breaker. I don't know if it's Gunther because I don't know how long Gunther's gonna hold that title. I don't think you need to do Gunther and Goldberg for the world title at WrestleMania. It doesn't feel very necessary right there. It feels like you can do something better with your world champion at WrestleMania. And I know Cena is a big name. At least Cena is gonna be relatively full-time next year. And he's gonna have a bunch of matches. And there's a bigger story to tell with John Cena of him chasing the number 16 instead of Goldberg. We all know it's his last match and he's getting a world title shot for really no reason, considering he did lose his last match, just like, because he confronted Gunther. That's why you can do Gunther and Goldberg, maybe at SummerSlam, maybe Gunther's not the champion, and then it makes more sense.
So here's the thing. When Sean started talking about John Cena and Gunther at WrestleMania, I was against it. I didn't like the idea. Probably, but I understood the reasoning for it. I just didn't like it. And then the more that I've been thinking about it, and the more that we've been talking about it, it's like there is a really good arc here for Gunther out of this. John Cena beats Gunther for the world title at WrestleMania. John Cena gets that 17. It's a big moment. Crowd loves it. It's WrestleMania. It's casual mania. People love every minute of it. Gunther goes on his way. He's upset, but he lost. He's got to build himself back up. The big build up is when he beats big Bill Goldberg in Goldberg's last match at SummerSlam. And it's a hot match. And it's one of the more heavily promoted matches for night one. Could be a main event, could not be, but it's not for a title. But it does mean that Gunther beats Goldberg, and Gunther then says, I did it. I retired that old man. Give me my world title match. And we do John Cena versus Gunther 2 at wherever. Don't know where it could be, but eventually Gunther does win it back from John Cena, and Gunther's back on top. That's a big arc for Gunther to lose that title to Cena, have the Goldberg match where he starts his redemption, quote unquote, and then beats Cena for the title again somewhere down the line, while Cena does his, I'm facing CM Punk, and I'm facing, Braun Breaker, and I'm facing all these guys that I want to face, whatever it is. John Cena has his retirement tour. Gunther has his redemption tour. And I would like that.
I like that idea. It's not an issue. It's a good problem to have, and it's a problem that WWE has to figure out. You are basically holding that title for Gunther to WrestleMania, to Cena until, let's say, SummerSlam, potentially. It's not that Gunther needs to beat Cena for the title to win it back. I think this is where you can kind of shift gears a little bit. Can he lose to John Cena and then beat John Cena later on when John Cena's lost the title? Yes, because in your scenario, you're holding that title. Gunther's having it from now until WrestleMania, loses it to Cena. Cena has it from WrestleMania until after SummerSlam when he loses it to Gunther. Then Gunther has it, let's say, from what comes after SummerSlam. Is it a Saudi show? Is it? I can't remember.
I mean, here's the reality.
It's Bad Blood. It was Bad Blood last year.
Right. But I mean, the whole point here is that the big four don't mean nearly as much now that you have these international shows with big site fees, and like you can do like a Clash at the Castle where Gunther captures it there. You could do it there. Okay.
No, I understand that. But here's my point. What you're saying is Gunther now until Mania. Cena Mania until Clash of the Castle. I think that's after SummerSlam.
It's September. Instead of August, he holds it through September.
Okay. And then Gunther from September, Clash of the Castle, until whenever he's going to lose that title, right? That's two people holding that title all of next year. On Raw, on Netflix, when you have CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, Cody might get moved to Raw during this. Roman Reigns, there's so many people who all can be in that title
John
picture.
Cena, that's right.
I'm for it. Look, I'm for John Cena beating all of these people. But my point is, you're putting that title on basically two people for the entirety of next year when they have so much talent that could potentially hold that title. It's a good problem to have. It's like, oh, which top guy do I want to put the title on right now? I'm not saying this is a bad problem. I am saying that it feels tough to map out this much when there is so much talent that potentially needs to hold that title.
So, yes, and this is kind of what I was getting at, was that there's a lot of talent, and you have more talent coming in to tell the end of their stories. In the case of Cena and Goldberg, especially, while Goldberg is only one match, that's still television time because you still have to build the match. You still have to get us there, and that's going to be a couple of months of story. He'll show up.
It's months. It's going to be a month.
I know, but the point is you still have to build to those stories. Like, there's still something in mind that gets you there. And that's kind of where it all comes in, is with all that talent and all those titles, or not all those titles, but a lack of a world title between two people. Where do you go? How can you make this, how can you make everyone shine? I didn't say Sean, I said shine. Hi, Sean.
How's it going, Sean?
What's up, guys?
How you doing this morning?
A bit of a stay of execution as the Bengals won their first home game yesterday. I still have my banner up from last night's show. I didn't even remove the Fightful sign. But yeah, I didn't jump off the top of the stadium, which is,
That's
nice.
Yeah.
What bit am I missing with the Fast and the Furious thing?
There's no bit.
Explain the bit.
The bit is I like to remind people to live their life a quarter mile at a time. That's all.
Okay, that's fair.
My bit is I have lucha masks and lights.
Yeah.
Did you watch Power Struggle?
I have not yet. I am actually going to this afternoon. It feels like it's 3 p.m. for me.
Yeah.
You haven't slept yet?
No.
Jesus Christ.
Stayed up all night covering Power Struggle, and now I'm here, Sean.
That's why you're the GOAT. That's why you're the best at this.
Yeah. Tired. I need a nap.
I was cooked by midnight last night. Cooked. Just done.
I saw you did a Bengals stream at like 11. I was like, look at that.
Yeah, I did. As time was like winding down, I was like, man, I've still got to film. Which, here's a great thing. I recorded the Fightful report. I record those on Sundays for a Monday morning release. And someone said, who do you want to see Kenny Omega wrestle? And I said, personally, Gabe Kidd. So that makes me very happy that I got that one right. Although the record probably won't reflect that I got it right. It just reflects that I probably watched Power Struggle, of which I hadn't actually watched yet. So go figure. We got a Raw Scoops thread up today, and I know a lot of people will go, wait, that was filmed yesterday. Yeah, we got producers, everything up now. And I'm very excited to post this Jonathan Coachman rumor killer about Becky Lynch.
There's a
listen.
What?
Listen. Here, I didn't know about it until somebody asked me in our Q&A, and I had to dig it up. Listen, I think it's safe to say none of us here make anywhere near $2 million. Jonathan Coachman claims that she asked WWE for $2 million, and they said no. If Becky Lynch was available for $2 million, I would contact Jimmy Van and say, I do not have a business plan. I have no ideas whatsoever. I can wrestle her a few times at least. There's that. But let's sign her for $2 million.
She can come on this show every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, do a bit of, here's what's going on in the world of Rue. We're all parents. Joel and I are parents. So
she's just live tweeting. She's live tweeting Raw. That performance was disgusting. One of those.
We'd read children's books with Becky. It'd be fantastic.
Yes.
Kids books with the man. Let's go.
Yeah, that would be the case. She'd take all of Scott Edwards' work. She'd interview all the Joshi talent. That's what she would do.
We would figure something out.
In a second, I would do a Becky and Joel parenting podcast. Delaware would come around, tell us her whole stories. Oh, we'd be in, baby.
We'd fly her to New Jersey, and she would be actively fixing Kate's router. Like, She's doing tech support and stuff with us.
She's got the overalls and a toolbox.
She could do the Anna Bauer role. She's interviewing people at the shows, like Becky Lynch here for Fightful, and here's Bailey. Bailey, I love you.
Yes.
Like, thanks, Becky.
Oh man, I would love it. Listen. That's a situation where Jimmy would be like, "What?" And then he'd go, it's just kind of something I want to do. It's just kind of something I want to do. Man. Yeah, that is. So I'm gonna work on that because the quotes I got from WWE were pretty funny. They were very funny. I mean, listen, I asked one person, a higher up this week, about, oh yeah, Raw, or I heard people at Netflix at the filming last week. They were like, we want Punk, we want Roman, and we want Cody. And they said, and I quote, yeah, well, Saudi wanted Yokozuna, we want Yokozuna, and I bet Netflix wants Yokozuna too. And I was like, that didn't have anything to do with what I asked, but I'm going to use it for the story. So go figure. I know one thing. I am a Joel Embiid fan now.
Yeah, that when that came out on was Friday night at this point, and it was the tweet was Joel Embiid just assaulted some reporter. He punched him, and then once the more information came out of it was a shove, and he had every kind of justifiable reason to.
I would simply offer the reporter $40,000 to fly to my hometown and fight me, but I mean that's just me.
Maybe
so I saw somebody. I put that the reporter was lucky. That's all that happened. And somebody said, lucky he would have been rich if Joel Embiid would have hit him. And I was like, he would have been comatose if Joel Embiid hit him. Like Joel Embiid is an elite athlete. Now, listen, you can say what you want about him not playing, and that's the whole point. But this man is 7 feet tall. And like, how much does he weigh? He's like 230, 240 at least. He's a big dude. He's like 280. He's like 280.
This is like, is he?
At 7 feet, you got to be more than 230. 230 make you pretty lanky.
Not necessarily, buddy.
Yeah, these guys. Well, let's see what Joel Embiid's.
Let me introduce you to Manute Ball.
Yeah.
Who is Manute Ball all the time.
They were very generous to list Manute Ball at 200 pounds. And
now
he was
they list
7
him at
foot
280. No, they list him at 280. So there you go.
Yeah. I am in support of what Jason Kelsey did.
I was about to say it was a bad week for maybe like you shouldn't try to go after Philadelphia sports athletes or really any athletes in general, but like they're different in Philadelphia, if
you say something personal about someone, regardless of their level of fame, expect to be confronted with that. And what Marcus Hayes did was say something very personal, and then that fan said something very personal about Jason Kelsey's brother.
What a dumb comment by that fan.
Fellas, is it to date the most successful and famous female celebrity in the world? What are we doing here? How is that a thing? That dude said, how does it feel to know that your brother is a homophobic slur for dating Taylor Swift? And I'm like,
probably pretty good. He's probably doing pretty well right now.
There's some pretty good hookups there.
How do you feel? Rich.
Like,
that dude, the wife pointed out, like, that dude's lucky that Kylie Kelsey wasn't there, because Kylie would have killed this.
Listen, this did legitimately remind me of on an infinitely smaller scale when I posted a picture of me with 12 friends in Minnesota having dinner. And people, they were like, fucking losers. And then they hit us with the, bet they're all fucking afterwards. And I gotta say, the thing that I pointed at, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't take this so seriously, was when they say, LOL, those losers, I bet they have sex. I was like, okay, at that point, how mad can I really be over stuff like that? So,
Jason should have absolutely destroyed this guy, especially when he got pushed to the ground.
Yeah.
Like when that dude shoved him. Yeah, he's lucky that Jason didn't just rip his head off.
Did he shove him? I missed that.
Oh yeah, Jason like bends down to like pick up the guy's phone after he like slams it down. He like shoves him down, and so Jason gets up and in his face. And yeah, if I was Jason Kelsey, I don't think a jury certainly in Philadelphia wasn't going to convict him on this.
Yeah. I mean, I saw a lot of Twitter lawyers saying, "Oh, hope it was worth it." Yeah, what, that $1,200 for the 3-year-old iPhone that he broke? Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure it'll be worth it to Jason Kelsey. A sponsor will pick that up immediately.
They'll put a new screen on it. They'll put a new back on it with Jason Kelsey's face.
Today, a company that sells screen protectors will contact Jason Kelsey and say, "Here you go." Push our product and say, "Should have had one of these, buddy." And
do you want to protect your phone like Jason Kelsey protected the quarterback? Get the Jason Kelsey screen protector.
So they're not a sponsor, so I'm not going to give them the name. But there's a brand of skins that sponsors a bunch of like big tech YouTubers, and they're fantastic. But they are also super trolly. They would absolutely reach out to Kelsey and just be like, "We have an idea. We're going to send you this phone and you're going to put this product of ours on it. And you're going to just throw it on the ground as hard as you can. And we need you to just show us the reaction." And millions of dollars. And it would be done. And he would do it. Someone in the chat got the name of the company. Good enough.
I think that he can parlay this into financial gain for himself. And I hope he does, because that guy was trash. Absolutely garbage. I mean, listen, there are a whole lot of people that feel like they can just say whatever they want and then never face ramifications for it in any situation. And I feel like a lot of things, but specifically probably the political landscape of the last 8 or 9 years has lended to that. And some people are finding out. I'm just saying. I think
the quote's attributed to Mike Tyson. I don't know if Mike Tyson actually said this, but the quote was just like, people just got too comfortable talking online and not getting punched. And yeah, very true.
I always like when I log onto Facebook and it's just like something asinine, like, "I shouldn't have eaten all that cheese because now I haven't been able to shit for 6 days." And then it's like Jim Carrey. And people are like, "Man, he's so smart." And it's like, he never said that, guys. He definitely never said that. That's what PWI used
sounds
to
like
do.
Something Jim Carrey would say.
PWI in the 80s and 90s did that all the time. Like, there are a number of wrestlers. I stopped, like I had old PWIs and I would look through them and I was like, "Hey, this quote," and they go, "I never said that." They would just attribute stuff to us.
Oh, this is great. Zeno Howard saying NXT should get Kelsey for the ECW show, smashing NXT Anonymous's phone.
That's a great idea.
That's fantastic.
Phenomenal idea.
He's worked Mania. He could come in for this.
It's him in a mask, and it's just like, "Jason Kelsey, I know that's you, Jason Kelsey." And he takes the phone and just.
I like it. Listen, that's a segment right there.
Get to pitching. Let's do it.
I think as of now, I'm doing a solo AEW review, and then Kate and Alex are doing an NXT review. I am glad we are not combining those shows. I did not want to be on the air for 3 hours, so we'll have dual.
Are you gonna get Mansoor? Can you get him to review AEW?
See, I feel like that should be a thing, or at least I should have a cameo from him. But we'll see.
Yeah. Sean, very important question for you.
Okay.
Why are you wearing white after Labor Day?
Nice.
Because who was it that made it okay?
Jeff Jarrett.
Jeff Jarrett made it okay. That's why.
Yeah.
Jeff Jarrett did a lot for my sins. And
longest reigning Texas Chainsaw Deathmatch champion of all time.
Over a year.
Nobody's even challenged for it. Like, nobody wants.
Scared? Would you?
They're scared.
No, absolutely not. Of course I wouldn't. No. Jeff told me exactly how to beat Effie, and I didn't do it. But
he didn't take his advice. Apparently,
I did do a stroke onto a chair, though. I did. When we were talking over that spot, Effie was like, "Oh, we could go on it flat if you want." And I was like, "Man, the bump is easier if it's open. Like I would much prefer that." But I thought it ended up pretty well. I think I did Jeff Jarrett proud. If you can't do a stroke, like, come on, like that. My favorite thing to always reference about Jeff Jarrett is Christopher Daniels told me once that his secret to not blowing up in the ring is you don't do anything in minute 5 that you can't do in minute 30. And then I say Jeff Jarrett never did anything in 1988 that he couldn't do in 2024.
Yeah.
So that's why he still has the same quality of matches. He could still have the same 1995 match with Shawn Michaels as he did if you had him do it now. So
one of the legends, one of the GOATs, Jeff Jarrett, still making bank in 2024. Bless him.
I love it. I respect it. I've heard some stories about him negotiating over the last couple of years, and he's a legend. He's such a legend.
Love it.
I'm out of here,
you give
guys.
Me some money, I'll give you some gold bars, and we'll call it even.
I'll catch you guys later.
Take care, Sean.
Bye, Sean.
Oh boy, must be Monday. Sean is here on the main channel. Oh, it's good to see him.
He's excited after the Bengals actually won a home game. So
fair, I get it. You know what? I wanted to ask Sean. You know, we're so good with our reporting on Fightful Select, best $5 in the business. There's one thing we don't know yet. Tony Khan has not officially had Bobby Lashley sign the contract to become All Elites. That was something that they talked about on Collision, and I was like, "Oh, we took a step back in this story, didn't we?" I wasn't a big fan. I will say that. Listen, here I will. Before we talk about that, I will say, really enjoyed Collision. I did get a chance to sit through more than 45 minutes of Collision. No, I did. I actually watched most of the show because the matches were really strong. There was some good stuff. The stuff with Mox and Orange Cassidy and Wheeler Yuta's involvement, thought that was some good stuff. Thunder Rosa, Harley Cameron had a really fantastic match for a plunder match. Thunder Rosa did the same finish that she did with the Deonna Purrazzo, running up the chair or run up the table in this case. There was some really good stuff. There was stuff that tied together. But yeah, that was just, I had to tie it together. They said Bobby Lashley hasn't officially signed his contract. Will Tony Khan allow him to sign his contract on Wednesday? And I was like, you let him in the building. You promoted that your chauffeur brought him to the show. Maybe no, don't do this. It was very strange.
It's a weird angle to do when you have all the music for him. Like
there's a video wall.
You're just gonna do this unsigned type of thing. I guess they're just trying to do a bit of, oh, I want him to sign with AEW and he's going to sign with the Hurt Syndicate. Because, you know, that worked out so well with like the powerhouse Hobbs. What was it? No, Wardlow. Wardlow's MJF has Wardlow's contract. It's like, all right, what are we doing? What are we doing here? It was an unnecessary thing. Like it's not gonna overall really hurt anything, I don't think. But it just felt unnecessary. Like, oh, is he gonna sign his AEW contract? It's like, yeah, probably. Or he's just gonna sign with the Hurt Syndicate, and it's not really gonna mean anything.
Here's the callback that they could do that I would appreciate. They did the Swerve and Tony Khan in a room signing Swerve's extension, his new contract. They did that on a show. If you could do something like that, and then maybe Swerve gets involved and he's like, hey, you think you're the big man, blah, blah, blah. Like it turns into something. Tony doesn't need to be part of the angle. Tony's just there because he's the boss. If you play it something like that, I'm okay with it. It was just the way they explained it in the moment was like, no, he's there. He's part of this. Let's not play this as, let's not be stupid here. But I could see them working something back to how Swerve re-signed, which is fine with me.
Yeah. It'll be okay. People are excited for the Hurt Syndicate, and it'll be fine. But I had a bigger issue, and I do want to say Collision was a great show. I'm going to talk about the part that I don't like, though. They do this tag team celebration with Private Party and a not so private party because all the tag teams are out there.
They're expanding the circle. The party is extended.
Where was Scorpio Sky? Where was Scorpio Sky for this private party?
He doesn't have a tag partner anymore. In Private Party, they had a conversation off the air, and they said, "Thank you, Scorp. We like your system. Our hair is thick and full, but you're not for us." Just like Stokely, we must say no. We have to be on our own. And Scorp was like, "You got it. I'm going to go over to LA and work GCW instead."
I don't like it. My bigger issue was they do all of this, and you can't mention the Moxley stuff once during this. They have been central figures in standing up to Moxley along with Daniel Garcia and everything. And you can't mention, like, this proves AEW is still something to fight for. You got a world champion who doesn't want to look at these letters. We're right here. We're a success story out of AEW. Like, you can't give me something out of this Moxley angle when you have been, along with Daniel Garcia, very central to this whole fight with Jon Moxley. I just wish they would have, again, referenced this stuff. This has been my complaint about the Moxley stuff. The whole, it's starting to live in its own bubble, and don't like that. It should not live in its own bubble. It should be bigger than. The segment with Orange Cassidy was good. You know, the abusing of Wheeler Yuta, the mental screwing of Wheeler Yuta is good stuff. I like the Moxley stuff. I wish it would live outside of the, especially when this isn't an MJF situation who has not been part of it. This isn't a House of Black situation who has not been part of it. Private Party have been central figures in standing up to Moxley and fighting against Moxley and what he's trying to do. You gotta mention it. You gotta mention it and give me something out of it instead of just AEW, we're the best tag team wrestle, and now we're gonna have 3 teams figure out who we're gonna wrestle at Full Gear in a 4-way match. And yeah, like, just give me more.
Let's hit that tag title match for a minute. So, like you said, 4-way contender series to determine a 4-way tag match at Full Gear. You've got Outrunners versus Top Flight, FTR versus House of Black, La Facción Ingobernable, the LFI, versus the Acclaimed, and then the winners face Private Party at Full Gear. This is over the course of the next 3 episodes of Collision, Dynamite, Collision. So those next 3 episodes of AEW TV. Did you have a chance to think about who those 4 teams are for you to go up against Private Party?
Yeah, the Outrunners win everything.
I mean, listen, I'm still on board with that. For me, it was always Outrunners, FTR, and LFI. And they take on Private Party.
Yeah.
And the Acclaim start their breakup angle as early as that match in Albany.
It started as early as Collision.
I mean, the physicality of it, yes.
Right. Yeah, those were the teams I would figure, because those are the teams that have been wrestling on Collision and getting victories over each other and kind of doing a little back and forth there. So that makes sense that it's those 3 teams. Yeah, I'm with you, Redmond Survivor. Like, Mox should have also said something of like, yeah, we wanted teams to step up. Look at Private Party. We did this for them. You know, we
they can do that on Wednesday.
They can, but you missed your shot at the first impression here. You missed your shot at Private Party. They give credit to the Young Bucks. Like, thank you, Young Bucks, for pushing us. Like, yeah, really? Like, I guess it makes sense in like an in-ring perspective. But that's where you could have taken the shot at Moxley again. Is like, hey, thank Young Bucks. Every time we stepped in the ring with you, you pushed us. You made us better. You know, it was you guys, because, you know, the Young Bucks, that when they left on Wednesday, what did they say? They said, we came back because we wanted to change the world. Now AEW's too chaotic. We're out of here. Peace out, guys. Peace out. And Private Party could have said, Young Bucks, you pushed us in the ring. You brought us to this level every single time we got in the ring with you. Jon Moxley, the way he's trying to do it is the wrong way. Just attacking people, taking people out, and, you know, running roughshod over everybody. No, this is where the best wrestle. This is where the best tag teams wrestle. This is where you improve in the ring. You prove it in the ring in AEW. We proved it against the Young Bucks because you helped us get to that level. You did help us change. And then you give some credit to the Young Bucks, and then you again mention the Moxley stuff. It's a little thing, but I think it would have helped.
I'd even prefer on Wednesday, Moxley says, Private Party, you gave thanks to the Young Bucks for pushing you to do this. No, we did that. Moxley should go over and take all of the adulation, all the congratulations, and bury the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks, they left. They took their ball and went home. They're garbage. You don't thank them. You thank us. And that's how the story kind of moves from there. Because doing it, you're almost trampling right on Private Party's moment, because there's two stories in hand. There's the Mox story, which is heavy, but there's also Private Party deserves to have at least a minute to congratulate themselves for winning the tag titles and getting there. But you can't trample all over the win, which people wanted to see on like the first opportunity, which was Collision. And in the reality of things, like, there are fewer eyes watching Collision, but if you bring it up on Wednesday and you say, Mox comes out and he buries both teams and says, I did this, not you, what you said on Saturday was bullshit, then at least you've given Private Party their moment while also moving the Mox story forward. For me, I'm happier seeing it play out that way if they decide to go that way.
Just mention it. That's all I'm asking.
I think that's
should
fair.
have been mentioned on Saturday. Hopefully they do something on Wednesday to give a little mention.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. The Mox story should be at the top of everyone's mind, but it shouldn't be. It shouldn't take away from moments like Private Party winning their first tag titles in 5 years. That at least deserves some sort of recognition, and also an opportunity to establish themselves as a fighting tag team. And that's where we get to this, this 4-way match that they're going to do at Full Gear. There's at least something there. But they do have to bring around the Mox story for them as well, because they've been so entrenched in it as well. A lot of people pointing out Commander versus Kyle Fletcher. Great match. Again, well wrestled. They gave Commander a bunch of wins on Rampage and on Ring of Honor. So you knew that Kyle Fletcher was going to get the big win here. And then Mark Davis came out again and jaw jacked a little bit with Fletcher. And it looks like those two might do a thing physically in the ring. And it seems to be going that way. If that's the case, and Mark Davis is cleared, then like I said on Friday, that would be fantastic.
We shall see with Mark Davis.
And yeah, other than that, I mean, the stuff with Moxley and OC and Yuta, that's the big talking point out of Collision, to me at least. I should say Orange Cassidy playing a few mind games with Yuta and just be like, hey, remember when you were poor? Remember how AEW saved you? Remember how you love AEW? No, I'm just kidding. Orange Cassidy made reference to Yuta and Orange Cassidy's history together, how Orange helped Yuta when Yuta was at his lowest point. They're both Philly guys. They both grew up in the circuits together. This should be circuits, not circus. They work together in wrestling and coming up. And then, saying to Yuta, you could be better than this. And then Moxley just pie-facing Yuta until Yuta had to go out there and not hit OC with a chair. There was some good drama in this. I actually really enjoyed it.
It was.
Did you?
Yes, I liked all of Collision outside of the one thing I complained about. But no, it was the stuff with Orange Cassidy and Moxley has been very good. They had to tell you they were in Philly. I didn't like Action Andretti comes out. It's like, who could possibly? The Philly crowd certainly didn't care about Action Andretti. Like, huh? What? Action Andretti's from Philly? Sure. Anyway, beat this dude right fast so that we can move on with this show. They tried with that Action Andretti spot. Crowd did not care at all. But I like the stuff with Moxley and Orange Cassidy. I like Moxley's promo. I like Orange Cassidy's promo. Again, I like the Wheeler Yuta, the abusing of him, and I'm curious to see where all of that plays out. On Kyle Fletcher Commander, I thought they should have called an audible and just had Commander win and actually, elevates him. But what can you do?
You're asking for too much. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And for Action Andretti, listen, he'll be better when he gets a mouthpiece. Daniel Garcia, Jack Perry are going to do their thing. Daniel Garcia says, I'm going to take a different approach with you. I thought that was cute. It was fine. It wasn't like a groundbreaking backstager, but it continues their story. And again, Collision was good. There was lots to get involved with. I'll hit a couple super chats. Going back to our Goldberg conversation, Ryan Lambert says Natty versus Goldberg. Natty wins quickly for the family. Buddy, I'm all in. Let's do it. We're going to do that. That's a summer event. Yeah, Natty should win for the family. And then all the hearts come out, just like not Spring Stampede, like Canadian Stampede. And they're all just celebrating in the ring. if WWE comes to do it at Elimination Chamber 2025.
Is that in Toronto?
Allegedly. Tenrisa says, what do you think Ospreay does at Wrestle Kingdom or Wrestle Dynasty? Do the Hurt Syndicate get involved in New Japan, given that Shelton and MVP have history there? Lashley and Swerve in the Tokyo Dome. The last one, I don't know if you can make that a Tokyo Dome match.
No, I think that's going to be a Full Gear anyway. I don't think they're going to stretch that out to Tokyo Dome.
Like, I see the vision of it being cool in a dome setting like that, like in a big setting like that. But I think Swerve working, unless you're talking about Lashley and or Swerve working a match in Tokyo Dome, at which point, hell yeah. Like Lashley working a match in the dome, Swerve working a match of their own in the dome. I'm all about that. Shelton and MVP do have history in New Japan. I'd love to see that. I want to see that connection. You can do a trios match at Wrestle Dynasty. I don't know who the Hurt Syndicate would face, though. Like, who would make this the best sense? Because these are three big, bad dudes.
I don't think they're worried about that right now. Like, I think they're focused on what they're doing with Swerve. And then once you get past that, then you can try to figure out where the pieces fall with Hurt Syndicate and whoever else it might be in that mix. But let's get past the stuff with Swerve first.
Yeah. And Ospreay, what do you think his role will be at Wrestle Kingdom or Wrestle Dynasty?
I think Ospreay wants to return and do something with United Kingdom or United Empire. Sorry,
United Kingdom would be fantastic. It's just,
I got like Undisputed Kingdom and United Empire just mixed up, and then I just said the country of United Kingdom. So yeah, I think he wants to do something with United Empire. I think he wants to team with like Hanare and Great Okan. They just won the IWGP tag team titles. I think he wants to do something with them. And, whatever side Mark Davis decides to go with, if he stays with Fletcher, if he goes off with Ospreay. But that would be my guess for Ospreay, is he does something. I know people probably want like a big Will Ospreay match and like a classic Will Ospreay match in Tokyo Dome. And maybe they will do that. Maybe they do something like that. But I think you're more likely to see United Empire against like Bullet Club War Dogs, something like that. Some like Ospreay, Okan, Hanare against like Sonata, David Finlay, and somebody else from War Dogs. Can't be Gabe Kidd. He's teammate. I don't know who you put in there. I don't think it's like Jay White, because I don't think Jay White's super associated.
Are they going to find a way to get Jay White on the Wrestling Dynasty card?
I don't think they can. And let's say, I mean, they can. It's wrestling, sure, but yeah. I don't think he should be.
Does he?
He's banned from New Japan,
right? Does he do a win your way in type of match? Like, that's the thing. And they're pretty good. Like New Japan and even AEW to that degree are good at keeping those like no more this style stipulations alive. And that's one of the things that's keeping Jay White from making any New Japan appearances. But if Wrestling Dynasty is considered a co-branded show, he's not allowed to not go to Japan, the country. He's just not allowed to wrestle a New Japan show. But if he's there as AEW star Jay White, then I guess you can get away with it. It's just it's semantics.
It's still a New Japan show. Was Jay White on Forbidden Door this year? Legitimately can't remember.
I'm pretty sure he was injured.
Yeah, he was hurt. Yeah. So he can't be on a New Japan show. It's not allowed.
Just someone's at the door just checking names, be like, oh, Jay White? Nope. Sorry. Can't let you in. Show your ID.
They gotta sneak him in through the back door. I mean, maybe honestly, like if you tie together Bullet Club, and I don't know what his deal is with David Finlay, if they're working together. I mean, I'm pretty sure Finlay attacked him. My memory is hazy.
It's usually what happens with Bullet Club. They get jumped out, except for AJ.
Yeah, so I don't think that it would make sense for David Finlay to be like, anyway, I'm bringing back Jay White over here. I just don't think. I don't think you can have Jay White. Yeah, he was attacked by Finlay after he lost the Eddie Kingston match.
Yeah.
So I don't.
He just rebrands his Black. Go on in, sir. I'm a New Japan Gaijin.
Yeah, Redman Survivor's got it. They just stack the guns and Juice and Jay on top of each other. It's this giant man in a trench coat, and like, who are you? Juice Gun. Wow, you're a very tall man.
Japanese Customs has a picture with no Jay White.
Jay White's gonna shave. He's gonna look like young lion Jay White. He's like, that's not the same guy. Look, this guy's got a beard. Me, no beard.
Oh, I don't know how you do it. Going back to the Ospreay thing, do you have United Empire should just go for the never open weight 6-man tag titles? Just win those. The champs now are what? It's Tanahashi, Yano, and someone replaced.
Oleg Bolton, I think.
Oleg Bolton?
I can't keep up with these 6-man tag titles. Sorry, everybody.
I mean, change on a whim. Just have them win. You know what? Have the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team champions win the never open weight tag team championship. Just have them all put them all back together again. Just reattach everything, and then have Jay White win them all.
I don't know about all that.
I don't know, but good conversation topic. Good question.
Yeah, I think Will Ospreay is going to do something with United Empire, though. I think that's what he wants to do. I also maybe I'm wrong on this. It could very well possible not be the case.
No, you're always right. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
We are
Kenny Omega
on the show.
Kenny Omega can it's his big return. Sorry, I was getting messages. Kenny Omega, it's his big return, right? That's going to be the big thing for that show. I don't think you need like this is Will Ospreay's big return New Japan match. You also got Ricochet. It's his big return kind of New Japan match as well. Okada might be on the show. Okada's another guy who feels like, hey, he just might like do some 6-man.
I hope he doesn't even
very
show
possible.
Up. I hope he doesn't even show up. I think he's just like, because remember the comments that he made before he went to AEW? He was like, no, I'm shutting the door on this. We're done. I don't need to go back to New Japan. And that was it. I'd love him to play that up more. Just be like, forget this place.
He just sends in a video. The coin drops, and then it's Okada on the screen.
He's like, no, thank you, bitch. And that's it. but again, if like the Graph City guys kind of mentioned the funny story of like the funny idea that Okada goes over to AEW, and so in the trade, Kenny Omega's like, well, if they get him, then I'm going to go back there, and then everything's equal again. And it's just as easy as doing that. Kenny Omega works the Japanese shows. Couldn't get the emphasis on the right syllable. And then you've got Okada sticking with the AEW shows. Simple as that. Someone has to work Dynamite that week before Wrestle Dynasty. It's just Okada matches.
Okay, well, Wrestle Dynasty's on, or Wrestle Kingdom and Wrestle Dynasty is a Saturday, Sunday. I think. I'll double check. Hold on.
It probably, well, you're right, because it's
January 4th. January 4th is a Saturday.
Sunday.
Yeah, Saturday, Sunday. So like Wednesday's fine. Literally, we just talked about Ricochet. Ricochet's in Japan today. He's going to be wrestling on Wednesday. So they can do Wednesday to Saturday and be okay. Collision's going to have a skeleton crew out there. Get ready for House of Black matches, everybody.
What? I have to assume they're taping Dynamite.
Why?
It's January 1st.
So?
I mean, even WWE has started giving talent Christmas off.
But usually it's New Year's Eve they give off. Like New Year's Day?
I guess the hangover is still yeah, like the Redmond Survivor saying they're taping Collision most likely. That would make sense. I don't know what they're doing with Dynamite. I'm sure they figured it out, but certainly like it's on the 1st of the year. You could do it. I just don't know.
I don't know when you tape it because you have the pay-per-view that on that Saturday. Like, when are you going to tape? You going to tape it on Sunday?
Well, they would have had to announce they wouldn't have to announce it yet, but you could announce it.
You probably have to announce it. I think they just work it. It's January 1st. WWE ran shows January 1st all the time. They ran a pay-per-view January 1st.
That was a big show too, though.
Like the actual January 1st, like New Year's Day doesn't, especially at night, like that doesn't really matter. It's New Year's Eve that people are out doing stuff.
Yeah, let the talent watch the NHL Winter Classic.
That sounds terrible.
Who's in the Winter Classic this year? Not that the Winter Classic has mattered since like 2005 when they started having the Winter Classic and then the American Winter Classic and then the European Summit Series, and then they go to this country and that country and everyone gets hockey. You get hockey and you get hockey. It would be, yeah. Jason asking would they do a TV taping in Japan? I'm sure they'd love to. I just don't think that that's on their like agenda. They would have already put that out there. The tickets would be on sale. It would be a bigger deal if they were coming to Japan for a TV taping. Yeah. Let's hit this super chat from Tenriza. Thank you, by the way, for all these super chats saying, apart from the venue for Forbidden Door in London, do you see some other big announcements being made at Wrestle Kingdom or Wrestle Dynasty? Would be great to do a Ring of Honor / Strong show. So the last part, I would love to see that too. If the Tanahashi New Japan approach is that they really do want, again, for the 15 millionth time, to make a direct split between New Japan and New Japan Strong, then Strong and Ring of Honor would have a pretty good working relationship in that world, in my opinion. Other announcements of Wrestle Kingdom and Wrestle Dynasty, I mean, there always is something. I just don't know what else they could do other than what they've talked about with Forbidden Door and doing an announcement that it's going to be at a venue in London, which to me is still the O2 or whatever that arena is, the bigger one. Or no, Wembley Arena. That was the one we talked about as being the venue. But I don't know. Do you have any ideas for other announcements that we might see? We're still a couple months away.
Yeah, they'll have show announcements. They always do that. A show in America, like a New Japan Strong kind of ROH show, is like fine. Does ROH like actually get you anything if you're running it with New Japan Strong? Like, are people excited about that? Like, they got a couple months to like build ROH into something more, especially with
Hi guys.
I was gonna say Chris Jericho's return to Ring of Honor and New Japan would be something.
Yeah, like I actually think that's kind of a big deal, and they'd sell it as a big deal. So maybe you do something like that. They got 2 shows coming up here. Did you know there's a New Japan show in America this week?
Yeah, Kevin Knight's going to be on the show. It's in Boston, right? No Mercedes though.
Not yet, anyway. I mean, maybe
I feel like that's something they would have already put on the card if she was coming. It feels like that would have been a thing. I mean, an appearance would be nice. I don't know.
You would think she would be on this card, but
I know. What I would like, and maybe they're not going to do this for Wrestle Kingdom and Wrestle Dream weekend or Wrestle Dynasty, not Wrestle. I see WD and I think Wrestle Dream. Wrestle Dynasty weekend. I think that as we get closer to Forbidden Door, they might announce a Dynamite again in the UK to go with that Forbidden Door weekend.
Okay.
And maybe, or a Collision, like something like that, where you can utilize some of the New Japan talent and, have some of the UK audience, which as we saw in Cardiff when they went to Wales, was like a big win for them, both in energy and sales.
Yeah, it's possible they do that. I don't know if they're going to announce that at like Wrestle Kingdom or Wrestle Dynasty.
No. I think it's more likely you'll get a venue for Forbidden Door. And honestly, I'm looking, the capacity at Wembley Arena is 12,500. That's good enough.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to run Wembley Stadium again. That's probably a little optimistic based on the past couple, like this past year, and you continue to keep running the stadium, it loses a little bit of luster there. And AEW just isn't as hot as it once was. Maybe it can get hot again. I think they're doing good stuff on television. I really think ever since Wrestle Dream, like the television has been good. There's been minor stuff, but the television has been good, and it felt like there's just a good sense of urgency and meaning to a lot of segments and matches where, before so much stuff just felt. Anyway, here's a cool match. Here's the disconnected segment. Just filling in, segments on EWR.
Yeah, but then they change it up enough so that you don't get fined.
Exactly. Yes. That was my complaint.
every little bit, like Premier Athletes, they were still on Collision. They just didn't do it with the same old, they changed it up a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah.
People saying, Wembley Arena isn't great. The O2 is a better option. I get the O2 is bigger. And I also understand the O2, if you go back to conversations you and I have had, Jeremy, about why they work the bigger basketball-sized, NBA-sized arenas, because it's easier for load-in, they're updated and things like that. I get it. Do the O2. I think I go to Wembley Arena because there's a cheeky comment for them to make where they say we went back to Wembley for 2025 and we'll be back at Wembley in 2026. Like, it's something they could do and people would not bat an eyelash.
It's that, and it's also just like relationships with like the arenas and things like that. O2 is like WWE runs that place a lot. And Wembley and AEW obviously have a good relationship with everything. So it could just be as simple as like, could they sell out the O2? Yeah, probably. But are they going to try to do that? And does WWE step in like, hey, you ain't running this on our watch? And does AEW, want to, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but like, do they want to hurt a relationship with like Wembley Arena and things like that when they already have a good relationship with Wembley and running Wembley Stadium? Again, none of this is like impossible. It happens all the time. Sean Lindsay saying WWE also runs Wembley Arena. So like, it's not that they can't run O2 and they run Wembley Arena instead. I just think sometimes we got to be mindful of, hey, this is why they run the bigger arenas now when everybody's like, oh, scale down. And it's like, well, they're going to run the bigger arenas because of relationships they can cultivate and build with these arenas instead of running the smaller arenas. So I think there's just stuff that we're not exactly privy to that could play a factor in why they run Wembley Arena over O2.
Yeah, and there's nowhere else other than O2 in London. There's also the London Arena, but I don't think that's going to be the place. And again, I don't live there. I don't know what they're going to do, and I don't know what it's going to look like. I do like the idea of doing the Royal Albert Hall. Yes, too small for a pay-per-view, but it's a perfect size for a Dynamite or Collision taping. Copper Box, I think, is another 12.5. Or maybe it's 10,000. It's a weird venue too for a big production. Like when RevPro does it, they do a pretty good job with it, but they don't have the same production elements as AEW does. So let's say WWE because I read a thing on my Twitter. Anyway, what else from this weekend that we really have to get into? Well, I mean, people are talking about the departures from WWE. There is that.
Yeah, I mean, we should comment on it because
we did kind of make reference to Baron Corbin earlier, and again, we wish him well. And also, Indy Hartwell is gone, and Tegan Knox as well. I don't want people to think I'm being mean because it's not.
Joel's about to be mean, everybody.
I'm about to be mean. Tell everyone. No, in the case of Tegan Knox, it's a curious case because there was a lot of rumors and pitches for her to do some work in NXT, and then that didn't happen, and they just haven't used her. And unfortunately, in the world of entertainment, if you're not being used and you need to free up cash, then you start cutting people, or at least not always cutting people, sometimes just letting their deals expire. Regardless, that's one name. And with Indy, she was just starting to get herself over with the stuff that she was doing with Candice LeRae. And I mean re-get herself over because she was already doing quite a lot with her NXT run. They had her win the NXT championship. She had a great opportunity with Index. She made the most of that doing the Dexter Loomis story. Of course, Dexter's moved on, so she kind of had to go back to doing stuff with Candice LeRae. At the same time, not a featured player on TV. It was starting to work, but I guess maybe just the timing was off, and they decided to say goodbye to Indy Hartwell as well. These are two women that I believe will absolutely land on their feet, absolutely do whatever they want to do moving forward. And I've already made the joke, and it got some TNA people laughing with me. And I said that the agenda has begun for Baron Corbin as TNA World Champion. And a bunch of them are like, "Be real." And I'm like, "Hey, man, it would work."
That's very possible, honestly.
I wouldn't hate it too, because Corbin, as much as we joke like he wants to go and like grill a steak on Twitter after he gets fired, like whatever, he's also a really good media guy and a good ambassador for whatever product or whatever he's working on. So I can see him getting a good opportunity. If he's friends with AJ Francis, he's in the door. And I mean that in like the nicest way, because AJ's a really good connector too. He's another dude who's come out the other side of losing a job at WWE twice, and he's doing great. So yeah, your thoughts with Corbin, Indy, and Tegan?
Tegan unfortunately had to battle through so many injuries that it never just clicked with her. And you know, they tried certain things. It was a lot of stop and start. It's not like they really gave her big time opportunities, but she was battling uphill with the injuries. And they honestly, it's an unfortunate reality of wrestling. Unless you are a top person, an injury is going to set you back, and a company is going to just lose faith in you because they just can't. I can't feel like, oh, if we put you in this position, what happens? And it's tough to stay consistent if you get injured. It's tough to stay consistent from a booking perspective. It's tough to stay consistent from an in-ring perspective. So it was unfortunate just what happened with Tegan with all of the injuries and everything, because I do think there's a role for her. I just don't know what that role is when they have so many other talents in NXT and coming in, and so like the women's division is just so deep. I don't know where Tegan was going to fit in, and you know, clearly they thought the same thing. Unfortunately, Indy was a very surprising one because like she literally wrestled on SmackDown. Like she was part of that tag team match with Candice against Naomi and Bailey, and it's like, wait, huh? You're really? That was very caught off guard. I don't know what the ceiling was for Indy overall, but they had something with her and Candice. They had something just with her as like a personality that I don't think they fully tapped into on the main roster. They did their best in NXT, and then she married Dexter and then was off television. But like they tapped into her personality in NXT, and they never really got there on the main roster. But she was another person who definitely had a role to fill and could have filled on the main roster, even back at NXT. And the fact that like she was being used on television with the Candice stuff, and then they just released her, that one was very surprising considering she'd been at television all week. And that's one where Tegan is obviously a moral hit, but I don't know how often Tegan was like even going to television stuff because she wasn't being used and things like that. Like Indy was at TV all week. You're talking about someone who traveled with Gargano and Ciampa and Candice, and now you've like taken her from them. Like that's a tough one right there. That was very unfortunate with Indy given where she was at. Corbin wasn't a release, so we should clarify that Corbin contract was expired and decided that they weren't going to renew. Very surprising considering all he'd done for the company. I know people feel ways about Corbin, and I'm saying you're wrong about feeling it. In 2018, 19, 20, it sucked. All right. He was on television way too much. He was in a spot he shouldn't have been in at that time. It was not good. It wasn't good at all. But after that, once they scaled back with him and they weren't putting him in the main event spot and they were utilizing him more as like a good mid-card heater for guys, and especially like the NXT stuff he was doing, even the NXT stuff like first when he was, you know, feuding with Joe and was like, you dork, wrestling all these indie matches. I just walked in here right off the gridiron and got this spot. That ruled. So the NXT stuff with Ron Breaker.
Telling Apollo Crews to go back to Ring of Honor.
Yeah. Like all that stuff was really good. And like Corbin really found the role for himself on the main roster. And like the stuff with Apollo Crews, like it was getting over. It was so stop and start. They just could not keep them on television long enough for one reason or another. And I don't understand why. Corbin felt like he was going to just be a lifer there because he could fill really any role you need to. And you mentioned it, like he was always good with media. He always went out of his way to promote the company and everything. So it just seems like, yeah, keep the guy around because he's going to uplift the company. He waves the WWE banner. I know people feel a type of way about that, but like you need those people You do. And so that was surprising that they were like, yeah, we're not going to renew your contract, because it felt like they had a role for him, or he could have had any role. As always, with anybody who departs WWE, they are going to be as successful as they want to be, because so often people leave the company and they are just so used to the WWE style and so used to the WWE schedule and what WWE does for you that they don't make a name on the independent scene like you would expect them to, because they don't, I'm not saying they don't care to do that, but they just aren't going out there and doing it. Not everybody's Matt Cardona, just people just want to kind of keep with the WWE style and everything. And it doesn't always work out on the independent scene because of that. I don't know what Tegan wants to do. I don't know what Indy wants to do. I don't know what Corbin wants to do. If they want to be successful, they will be. I could 100% see Corbin just being like, anyway, here's my cooking show on YouTube. This is what I'm doing for a living now. I'm just going to go hang out with football players, and that's kind of that. And maybe WWE will call me at some point and we'll get back to things. I can see Indy working indie dates and doing like indie wrestling stuff. Tegan didn't really do anything the first time she was released. She kind of kept a low profile until she was brought back. We'll see if she takes a similar or different route this time. They can all be as successful as they want to be. I don't see any of them being in AEW. I don't know where any of them fit in AEW. Like, they have roles, yes, but then if you put them in a role, where are you putting, like, who gets moved down, who gets shifted around? And I don't know if any of them have the name value to where you want to shift down talent that you've already invested in. Corbin might be the only exception, and Corbin's someone that I don't know if the AEW fans are going to fully embrace, because they feel a type of way about him.
It'd be very funny. It'd be very funny if he comes in and he just says, I'm a sports entertainer. I'm better than you. I'm not
Baron Corbin with the learning tree, baby. Let's go.
He is the roots of the learning tree. He kicks Jericho out because he's more rooted than Jericho. The stuff with Indy and Tegan. Okay, I know that I made the joke about Corbin going to TNA. TNA right now, we're about to have some changeover, especially with the Knockouts division. They're losing Jordan Grace. They just lost Giselle Shaw. They're keeping everyone forever, but Tegan and Indy are two who are going to be looking for opportunities. I don't know what their visa situation is, and I know that we've made reference to that on Fightful Select. If there's an opportunity at a visa by working with TNA for either or both of those women, then that's a place I can see them landing and finding a lot of success. TNA has a fantastic division when it comes to their women, and those two could go in those divisions, especially Tegan. It's not a knock at Indy. I just know that Tegan has that background as well of being like that wrestler, or she'll become a full-time Twitch streamer, like someone's saying in the chat. Just gonna go hardcore on Twitch.
They're very possible, very possible.
Okay, well, as we're gonna get out of here, we got one more super chat from Tenriza saying, still hoping for an AEW Mexico show. Still think the show here in Australia should have been in Sydney or Melbourne, would be better and more successful. Well, it's the deal that they struck, and I think the hope is that they find some success in Perth. Or is it in Adelaide? Where's the show in Australia? Where is Grand Slam?
It's in Australia.
Is it Brisbane? I think it's in Brisbane. I gotta go back now. Hold on. Nobody tell me. It's in Brisbane. Okay, it's in Brisbane. Got it. Okay. The show's in Brisbane. And if they can go to Sydney or Melbourne, those are the two bigger cities, you can absolutely get away with that. But for now, they gotta focus on doing the best they can with the deal they struck in in Brisbane. Wow. I haven't been to Australia in 5 years, so cut me some slack. It's 5, 6, 7, 8 years. So give me some slack. And a Mexico show will be great. Love to see where AEW wants to go in the new year, but we'll save that for now. Raw preview, shall we? Unless you have something to say about this.
Raw is going to be a show. I've not read the spoilers, so I don't actually know
I have heard the spoilers. Advertised for tonight. We'll just do that. If you want the spoilers, we have them over on Fightful.com. And as Sean said, over on FightfulSelect.com, best $5 in the business, we do have the rundowns and all the other information, including producers. So go and check that out. There's Chad Gable versus Dragon Lee is advertised, as is the #1 contenders match for the World Heavyweight Championship. Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio, Sheamus, Seth Rollins. Looking forward to this match. Should be a lot of fun. So go watch Raw tonight, or don't. I don't care. Just go enjoy the rest of your day. Jeremy, is there anything you want to plug?
Everyone go out and vote. I'm not gonna get super political on this show, but everyone go out and vote. You have a voice. You have a vote. Make it count. Vote for Sting.
Don't please. No, you vote. Just vote. Don't do the meme vote.
Don't do a write-in. No, I vote for Sting because he sold out Greensboro, unlike a presidential candidate. Yeah.
Yes, the joke is there, but please use your vote wisely.
Yes, use your vote on the candidate you feel is the best choice to run this country. People they will lose viewers from this. I don't really care. If you're voting for a racist, I don't want to be your friend. I don't want to associate with you. I don't care what you have to say. I hope you're still a good person, but we do not need the racist running our country again. We just don't.
I completely agree. Do your democratic duty. If you are American, duty, vote, get out there, do the thing. We're going to be back on Wednesday. We'll be back over on our regular channel, over on Overbooked. So go follow us, FightfulOverbooked.com. Tell your friends about this. The local elections are also important. Ryan Lambert mentions that in the chat, and he's absolutely right. Everything that Jeremy says goes twofold for me. Do the right thing. We look forward to a very productive conversation on Wednesday, because God knows we'll only have Raw results to talk about, because Dynamite and NXT are Wednesday this week. So for Jeremy Lambert, I'm Joel Pearl. Leave a thumbs up on the way out. Ladies and gentlemen, friends beyond the binary, go and vote. We'll see you in the next one.